Well, here we are, and it's November, and this is the poetry group for anybody who hasn't been here, and I'm Dan Wilson, and I'm not a poet, but I'm a ham, so here we go. And we'd like to thank Monita for getting everything printed up and ready for us.
Ruth.
And Ruth, and thank you very much. And when you come up here and speak,
Would you introduce the new people?
the new people, who are the new people? The new people who has,
It's my first time.
okay, and tell us your name.
I'm Inda. I'm Inda.
Inda. Welcome, Inda.
Thank you.
I'm new.
Yes,
I'm Mary Lee.
Mary Lee and Inda. And the young Dales,
And I'm Paul, this is the first time I've come.
Paul and Patricia. Well, very good. So the first poem is going to be read by myself, and this is about what happens when you live in some small town with a lot of squash that gets all ripened at the same time. And thus, this is the Attack of the Squash People by Marge Piercy. And thus, the people every year in the valley of humid July did sacrifice themselves to the long, green, phallic god and eat and eat and eat. They're coming. They're on us. The long, striped gourds, the silky babies, the hairy adolescents, the lumpy, vast adults, like the trunks of green elephants. Recite 50 zucchini recipes: zucchini tempura, cream soup, saute with olive oil and cumin, tomatoes and onions, frittata, casserole of lamb, baked, topped with cheese, marinated, stuffed, stewed, driven through the heart like a steak. Get rid of old friends, they too have gardens and full trunks. Look for newcomers, befriend them in the post office, unload on them and run. Stop tourists in the street, take truckloads to Boston, give to your Red Cross, beg on the highway, please take my zucchini, I have a crippled mother at home with heartburn. Sneak out before dawn to drop them in other people's gardens, in baby buggies at church doors. Then he was shot smuggling zucchini into mailboxes, a federal offense. With a suave reptilian glitter, you bask among your raspy fronds, sudden and huge as alligators. You give and give too much, like summer days, limp with heat, thunderstorms, bursting their bags on our heads as we salt and freeze and pickle for the too little to come. And this reminds me of a story by Garrison Keillor on Prairie Home Companion, and he talks about Lake Wobegon when the tomatoes are ripe. And one thing he said, when you park your car downtown, roll up the windows and lock the doors, or else when you come back to your car, it will be full of tomatoes. So.
Dan, what do you know about the poet? I don't know her.
Marge Piercy, I had just a little bit. Well, she was born in 1936 in Detroit, and 36 was a great year, wasn't it? Yeah. And a couple of her books were He, She, and It, and Gone to Soldiers. She was a progressive activist,
Thank you.
Marge Piercy. Yeah.
And strong feminist.
Strong feminist, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the next reading is, I guess, by another one of our newcomers, Paul Lehman. Yeah. So Paul, are you going to say this all in one breath?
Not quite.
Okay, good. Paul Lehman's going
I
to
hope not.
watch out for all these cables.
Ruth and I have been offering a series of presentations here at Westminster on the comic operas of Gilbert and Sullivan. And we play recordings of some of the music. Last Tuesday, this week, we took a quick look at the show Redigore. And some of you were there, I think. But we never have time for all of the songs that we'd like to include. So this evening, I'm going to share with you one of the pieces that we didn't get to last Tuesday. The singer here is a character called Robin, and he's speaking with his foster brother, Richard. Robin is in love with Rose Maybud in the story, but he's too bashful and too shy to say anything to her about it. He tells Richard, "You've no idea what a poor opinion I have of myself and how little I deserve it." A poem like this can be modestly enhanced with the addition of pitches, but it's still only a pale shadow of what it would be on the stage, accompanied by a full orchestra. And I wasn't able to bring a full orchestra with me this evening to provide accompaniment, so I'd ask you to use your imagination to lend that kind of support to my feeble effort. The advantage is you can make the accompaniment as elaborate or as simple as you like. My boy, you may take it from me, that of all the afflictions accursed, with which a man saddled and hammered and addled and diffident nature's the worst. Though clever as clever can be, a Crichton of early romance, you must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance. If you wish in the world to advance, your merit you're bound to enhance. You must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance. Now take for example my case. I've a bright intellectual brain. In all London city there's no one so witty, I've thought so again and again. I've a highly intelligent face, my features cannot be denied, but whenever I try, sir, I fail it, and why, sir? Richard says at this point, I don't know. And Robin goes on, I'm modesty personified. If you wish in the world to advance, your merits you're bound to enhance. You must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance, etc. As a poet, I'm tender and quaint, I've passionate fervor and grace. From Ovid and Horace to Swinburne and Morris, they all of them take a back place. Then I sing and I play and I paint, though none are accomplished as I. To say so were treason, you asked me the reason. Richard said, no, I didn't. And he goes on, I'm diffident, modest, and shy. If you wish in the world to advance, your merit you're bound to enhance. You must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance. And they sing together. If you wish, and you may join in if you like. If you wish in the world to advance, your merit you're bound to enhance. You must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance. Boom.
We didn't need the orchestra, did we?
And the next reading is by Lori. Do I see Lori?
Lori Humphries, I don't know where she is.
Well.
I think we'll have to skip her.
Skip that one.
Maybe when she comes to.
Okay, there are two of them she was going to read. A Late Walk by Robert Frost and Thanksgiving Day. And the next is going to be read by Nancy. Piano by D.H. Lawrence.
Piano is one of D.H. Lawrence's most famous.
Get close to this thing.
Closer, okay. How's this? I usually get too close.
No, pull it down towards you.
How's that?
Not good enough.
Not good enough. How is that?
Put it in front of your mouth.
Is that good? Oh, a little better. Oh, okay. Usually I don't use a mic and I just boom it out.
A little louder, please.
A little louder. Okay.
Closer to the mic, Nancy, can you get?
Yeah, I can get closer to the mic.
That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
How's that?
Wonderful.
Okay, very good. Piano is one of D.H. Lawrence's better known poems. As you all know, he's very famous for his novels, but he also has published several collections of poems. And the first one is rather sad. The next one, not so much. Piano. Softly in the dusk, a woman is singing to me, taking me back down the vista of years till I see a child sitting under the piano in the boom of the tinkling strings and pressing the small poised feet of a mother who smiles as she sings. In spite of myself, the insidious mastery of song betrays me back till the heart of me weeps to belong to the old Sunday evenings at home with winter outside and hymns in the cozy parlor, the tinkling piano, our guide. So now it is vain for the singer to burst into clamor with the great black piano appassionato. The glamour of childish days is upon me. My manhood is cast down in the flood of remembrance. I weep like a child for the past. D.H. Lawrence, as you know, was known for writing, novels. There's one novel that took him to court, The Lady Chatterley's Lover. And because of this, I think most literary critics or most English teachers, when they start to teach Lawrence, want to put a sexual slant on what he has written. I don't see Peach that way at all. I think it's a celebration of taste, a celebration of a gustatory appeal. It reminds me of the poem by William Carlos Williams, which perhaps everybody knows, and there's a lot of argument about whether it's even a poem. Some say it sounds like a note that was left on the refrigerator. Anyway, I'm going to sneak in a third poem, and first I'll read you Williams's poem, which is very short. And when I read Lawrence's poem, it's got a different tone. You have two different tones, and I think it's interesting to look at the two different tones. But when I was preparing this, I thought, oh, this reminds me of the Williams poem. So here it is. The title is This Is Just to Say, and that's the first line. This is just to say, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. And Lawrence says, would you like to throw a stone at me? Here, take all that's left of my peach. Blood red deep, heaven knows how it came to pass. Somebody's pound of flesh rendered up. Wrinkled with secrets and hard with the intentions to keep them. Why from silvery peach blossom, from that shallow silvery wine glass on a short stem, this rolling, dropping, heavy globule? I am thinking, of course, of the peach before I ate it. Why so velvety? Why so voluptuously heavy? Why hanging with such inordinate weight? Why so indented? Why the grooves? Why the lovely bivalve roundnesses? Why the ripple down the spear? Why the suggestion of incision? Why was not my peach round and finished like a billiard ball? It would have been if man had made it. though I've eaten it now. But it wasn't browned and finished like a billiard ball. And because I say so, you would like to throw something at me. Here, take my peach stock. I think that's the closest D.H. Lawrence has ever come to having a sense of humor. As far as I know from all the novels and short stories I've read by him.
Thanks for the
Thank
extra.
you, thank you, thank you. And our next presenter is Ruth Lehman. When the Frost is on the pumpkin. Okay, Ruth.
Yes. Okay, American poet James Whitcomb Riley was born on October 7, 1849 in Greenfield, Indiana. He's one of 6 children. Often called the People's Laureate or the Hoosier Poet, he established a reputation for dialect poetry designed for recitation and easy reading. His father, a successful small-town lawyer, allowed him to shape his education by instinct rather than formal precedents. He idolized Charles Dickens. He also liked poets Robert Burns for dialect verse and Henry Longfellow for moral precepts. They were his models. Riley's poems really do represent the way many country people spoke, and sometimes still do speak in Indiana and southern Ohio, in that part. And that's where I'm from too. And as you may, after you read the poem, see that he captured a tranquil America, wholesome, eccentric, sentimental, and bucolic. And he died on July 22, 1916. And I'm going to try to do this in our local dialect. When the frost, like saying when, and when you get to an end word that's a single syllable, you break it into 2. When the frost is on the pumpkin and the fodder's on the shock, and you hear the puke and gobble of the strutting turkey cock, and the clacking of the guineas, and the clucking of the hens, and the rooster's hallelujah as he tiptoes on the fence. Oh, it's then the times a fella is a-feelin' at his best, with the rising sun to greet him from a night of peaceful rest, as he leaves the house bay or headed and goes out to feed the stock. When the frost is on the pumpkin and the fodder's in the shock. They's something kind of hardy-like about the atmosphere when the heat of summer's over and the coolin' fall is here. Of course we miss the flowers and the blossoms on the trees and the mumble of the hummingbirds and buzzing of the bees. But their air's so appetizing, and the landscape through the haze of a crisp and sunny morning of the early autumn days is a picture that no painter has the coloring to mock. When the frost is on the pumpkin and the fodder's in the shock. The husky, rusty rustle of the tossels of the corn and the rasping of the tangled leaves as golden as the morn. The stubble in the furries kind of lonesome like, but still preaching sermons to us of the barns they growed to fill. The straw stacked in the meadow and the reaper in the shed, the horses in their stalls below, the clover overhead. Oh, it sets my heart a-clicking like the ticking of a clock when the frost is on the pumpkin and the fodder's in the shock. Then your apples all is gathered and the ones the feller keeps is poured around the cellar floor in red and yellow heaps. and your cider making's over, and your women folks is through with their mince and apple butters and their sauce and sausage too. With their mince and apple butter and their I don't know how to tell it, but if such a thing could be as the angels wanting boarding, and they call around on me, I'd want to accommodate them, all the whole enduring flock. When the frost is on the pumpkin and the fodder's in the shop.
Okay, can I ask a question? What is the shock? I don't know.
That's where you cut a whole bunch of corn, in half a row maybe, and you have to stack it all together and then tie it around so that when you come to get it, take it to the barn, you can't do it right away. And the shock protects the corn from getting wet. You'll get wet on the outside. If it's gonna fall, it's gonna rain in the fall.
Yeah. Thank you. My ignorance has been.
Ici de vin. The wine is here. There's a joke from southern Indiana, waitress, I'd like some pumpkin pie. And the waitress says, sir, all our pie is pumpkin here.
Oh, you missed your ground.
And next we have Ann Chris, who's got a couple of poems by Ann Chris, and they're always great. So Ann, come up.
The score. Last night I learned of natural law. Reason, not instinct, has the ball. Designed to kill, not our game, nor are we programmed to be tamed. The human heart speaks natural law, where reason holds to make us tall. The prescription is, we are not insane, with reason support, freedom reigns. Let the human heart start to be smart. Freedom is real to those who can kneel. God in heaven has had her say, paving the road to fulfillment and play. Born to rise, not to fall, reason and will guides natural law. But be not downcast by current events. Hold on to uncommon sense. Large capacity goes to reason and will, so nature's law can be fulfilled. Don't be a jerk. It only takes work. There's another one here that I wasn't aware that Benita put in. It was on the back of the first one. So,
Go ahead and do whatever you want.
okay, this is a poem to Betty Hall. She used to be here. She's now deceased. Up each morning, gracefully stiff, papers stacked high, fly, signs of the mind at work. Invites preachers so they come, what they cannot refuse. Betty's one. Turn her down, impossible. Banishments. None. Betty's pure fun. Preachers are caught by the adventure of voice. No choice through Betty. Yet the retirement house wins again when the glove over creativeness and word is love.
Thank you. Molly Bean, who's going to read something by Lori Dreyer. And I looked up Lori Dreyer on the internet just before I came up here, and there was nothing by
It's actually Laurie Dries, D-R-I-E-S.
D-R-I-E-S. Okay, well, that explains something.
That's what I'm explaining.
Okay, Molly.
Laurie Dries is a friend of mine. I worked with her for a number of years. I was a volunteer, she was the professional. One of the things I remember about her is the ferrets that she brought one day to the working in. It was the pool, and she brought them to the pool, and they were the cutest little things. And she didn't seem bothered that she had to kind of keep an eye on them and make sure they didn't get away. They were adorable, and she was so sweet with them. Okay. And she wrote this, and it's about her horse. It's called 71 Nights. The injury, an ulcerated cornea. The patient, my 35-year-old horse, Rosie. The hospital, a half-acre paddock out in the country. The treatment, bathe the eye with liquid antibiotics every 2 hours around the clock. The prognosis, good, considering the result of no treatment would be an exploding eye. The usual time to healing, 2 to 4 weeks. A chore, but doable. And so began my odyssey of nights on the farm. Nights 1 and 2 were spent off the grid in a tent next to the paddock with my headlamp and mobile telephone for an alarm clock. By night 4, thunderstorms had set in and my farm shelter switched to a small travel trailer. 6 different medications in rotation, filling syringes and cleaning needles, injecting liquid into a tiny rubber port in the dark, filling the time between with books and snatches of sleep. The days stretched on, the night hours expanded. Me, the responsible, humane, educated, cognitively advanced human, the scientist focusing on the practical and squelching the emotional. 14 days became 28, then 42, as the eye inched toward healing itself. Another cycle of the moon, and my mind began to dance with snippets of adventures I'd shared with Rosie since the day she was born. I thought of all the years with an equine member of my family, carrying her to the barn as a foal, chasing each other around her mother quietly grazing. The glorious loping rides along trails through the trees, the long walks, the shared lunches in the pasture, post-prandial naps, her nose in my lap, or my head resting on her belly, her head and neck enclosing me in a hug as I mourned over losses in our lives. Some years were lean on time together, some were bursting full. I grew up, she grew up. I grew older, she grew older, until one day she was 30 and I couldn't understand where the time went. It was then my mornings were accompanied by the thought that each day she is still alive is a gift, but I didn't know what a gift really is. The nights multiplied and morphed into a vision quest, to be still next to my lifetime companion and listen to the frogs calling, coyotes howling, chickens scratching, nighthawks cooing, horses snuffling, raccoons rustling. To feel the night breezes float over my skin, gazing at the multitude of stars in the dark night sky, seeing grasses waving lit brightly by the moon, to soak in her quiet acceptance of my smell, my breath, my ministrations, my kisses, my scratches, my whispers of love, and the nights passed. Night 72 I spent at home with an ache in my back and sniffles in my nose. Others at the farm gave the drugs. On day 73, the sun and hidden stars came calling for Rosie. Her eye incompletely healed, my heart breaking, my soul rounded and full, my eyes finally open. What can you learn in 71 nights? To step gently into the world of a sleeping horse, to forego halters and ropes of containment and accept only cooperation freely given, the exquisite velvety softness of an equine muzzle caressing against your ear, bidding you good night. the soft breath mingling with your own cheek to cheek. The solid weight of a belly leaning against your hip, the forehead filling the space in your chest over your heart, the rub of an eye down the side of your thigh, the sigh of enjoyment from a well-scratched back. I am not the tender, I am the tended. I am not the nurse, I am the patient. I am not the God, I am the supplicant. I am not the teacher, I am the student. I am not the lover, I am the loved. I am not the giver, I am the recipient of the most loving, gentle fledgling into my new life by my always and forever spirit guide. I am not the guide, I am the guided. Thank you. I thought it was a charming, it's not exactly a poem, very poetic in many ways.
Is a 35-year-old horse an old horse, or is that normal that they live that long?
It's an aged horse. It's not, all horses will live naturally to an age, but some do and some live longer.
Do we get an introduction?
Yes, I'm Dan Wilson. Oh, I see.
Next, we have Simon and Garfunkel, who are gonna come up. Oh, no, it's Joan Mueller and Monita Prince, who are gonna come up and tell us about America.
I give you just a few teasers. Langston Hughes is a well-known Black American poet. And
You have to get your mouth closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can go online on YouTube and you can hear him read and learn, there's some really nice programs about him. One interesting fact is that his grandmother went to Oberlin College, and his father left the country, left America, because for a black man, he felt he wasn't gonna get a good deal here, so he went to Mexico. And Langston Hughes went down and lived with him for a while. His father wanted him to go to college in something like engineering. Anyway, he was really involved in the Harlem Renaissance. But look him up for yourself, you'll find a lot of interesting stuff. So this is called Let America Be America Again. We're just gonna talk loudly and don't complain, okay? Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free.
America never was America to me.
Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above.
It never was America to me.
Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe.
There has never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free.
Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars?
I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro, bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man, driven from the land. I am the immigrant, clutching the hope I seek, and finding only the same old stupid plan, dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak.
I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient, endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, or take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed.
I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I'm the worker, sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean. hungry yet today despite the dream, beaten yet today. Oh pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead. I'm the poorest worker bartered through the years.
Yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamed a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home, for I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore and Poland's plain and England's grassy lake, and torn from black Africa's strand I came to build a homeland of the free.
The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions of relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have done nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed, for all the songs we have sung, and all the hopes we have held, and all the flags we have hung. The millions who have done nothing for our pay, except dream that's almost dead today.
Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain must bring back our mighty dream again.
Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. From those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must take back our land again, America. Oh yes, I say it plain, America never was America to me. And yet, I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we, the people, must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain, all to the stretch of these great green states, and make America again.
Well, that's powerful. Yeah. That's powerful.
And our next presenter is Patricia Youngdale. Ah, King John was not a good man. Yes, I think many of us were raised on this. So here's Pat.
Thank you, Dan. And now for something a little lighter, obviously, what we've just had. But I have two poems. The first one is King John's Christmas by A.A. Milne, who was born in 1882 and died in 1956. He wrote many plays and novels. And of course, he's most famous for the Winnie the Pooh stories and has a lot of wonderful poems for and about children and adults that I just love. But let me warn you that on the first page of this, the last paragraph on the column on the left actually belongs on the second page. So, I'm sorry, that was something that I couldn't make work out right. But it's about King John of England. But he was the king he lived from 1166 to 1216. But some historians say that he had many, and I'm quoting, distasteful, even dangerous personality traits, such as pettiness, spitefulness, and cruelty. So when we read about him, we can see that King John was not a good man. This is a repeating line here.
When did he reign? When did he reign?
When did he what? Oh, reign. Oh, well, 1166 to 1216. So this poem is actually set in more current times, but that's when King John actually reigned. Okay, King John's Christmas by A.A. Milne. King John was not a good man. He had his little ways. and sometimes no one spoke to him for days and days and days. And men who came across him when walking in the town gave him a supercilious stare, or passed with noses in the air, and bad King John stood dumbly there, blushing beneath his crown. King John was not a good man, and no good friends had he. He stayed in every afternoon, but no one came to tea. And round about December, the cards upon his shelf with which to hint lots of Christmas cheer and fortune in the coming year were never from his near and dear, but only from himself. King John was not a good man, yet had his hopes and fears. They'd given him no present now for years and years and years. But every year at Christmas, while minstrels stood about, collecting tribute from the young for all the songs they might be sung, he stole away upstairs and hung a hopeful stocking out. King John was not a good man. He lived his life aloof. Alone, he thought a message out while climbing up the roof. He wrote it down and propped it up against the chimney stack. To all and sundry, near and far, of Christmas in particular, and signed it not Johannes R., but very humbly, Jack. I want some crackers and I want some candy. I think a box of chocolates would come in handy. I don't need oranges. I do like nuts, and I should like a pocket knife that really cuts. And oh, Father Christmas, if you love me at all, bring me a big red India rubber ball. King John was not a good man. He wrote this message out and got him to his room again, descending by the spout. And all that night he lay there, a prey to hopes and fears. I think that's him a-coming now. Anxiety bedewed his brow. He'll bring one present anyhow, the first I've had for years. Forget about the crackers, and forget about the candy. I'm sure a box of chocolates would never come in handy. I don't like oranges, I don't want nuts. And I have got a pocket knife that almost cuts. But oh, Father Christmas, if you love me at all, bring me a big red India rubber ball. King John was not a good man. Next morning, when the sun rose up to tell the waiting world that Christmas had begun, and people seized their stockings and opened them with glee, and crackers, toys, and games appeared, and lips with sticky sweets were smeared, King John said grimly, as I feared, nothing again for me. I did want crackers and I did want candy. I know a box of chocolates would come in handy. I do love oranges. I did want nuts. I haven't got a pocket knife, not one that cuts. But oh, Father Christmas, if he had loved me at all, he would have brought me a big red India rubber ball. King John stood by the window and frowned to see below the happy bands of boys and girls all playing in the snow. A while he stood there waiting and envying them all, when through the window, big and red, there hurled by his royal head and bounced and fell on the bed an India rubber ball. And oh, Father Christmas, may blessings on you fall for bringing him a big red India rubber ball. Okay. All right, and this next, okay. The next one is a poem by John Betjeman, also an English poet, who lived from 1906 to 1984. He lived mostly in the Edwardian age, but he was in those, there are lots of reflections of that in these poems. But he was also a founding member of the Victorian Society, and there are reflections of that in his poem. He was one of the most popular British poet laureates and a defender of Victorian architecture. He helped to save the magnificent St. Pancras Railroad Station from demolition. That's a beautiful, beautiful building. So he was quite a Victorian and Edwardian person. Okay, this is called Christmas by John Betjeman. The bells of waiting Advent ring, the tortoise stove is lit again, and lamp oil light across the night has caught the streaks of winter rain in many stained glass windows sheen from Crimson Lake to Hooker's Green. The holly in the window hedge and round the manor house the yew will soon be stripped to deck the ledge, the altar, font, and arch and pew, so that the villagers can say, the church looks nice on Christmas Day. Provincial public houses blaze, corporation tram cars clang, on lighted tenements I gaze, where paper decorations hang, and bunting in the red town hall says, Merry Christmas to you all. And London shops on Christmas Eve are strung with silver bells and flowers as hurrying clerks the city leave to pigeon-haunted classic towers. And many clouds go scudding, marbled clouds go scudding by the many-steepled London sky. And girls in slacks remember Dad, and oafish louts remembered Mum. And sleepless children's hearts are glad, and Christmas morning's bells say, come, even to shining ones who dwell safe in the Dorchester Hotel. And is it true, this most tremendous tale of all, seen the stained glass windows hue, a baby in an ox's stall, the maker of the stars and sea become a child on earth for me? And is it true? For if it is, no loving fingers tying strings around these tissue fripperies, the sweet and silly Christmas things, bath salts and inexpensive scent, and hideous ties so kindly meant. No loving that love that in a family dwells, no caroling in frosty air, nor all the steeple-shaking bells can with a single truth compare, that God was man in Palestine and lives today in bread and wine.
Thank you.
And I like your shirt.
Oh,
It's very good.
I decided to wear my Christmas shirt.
Well, this sure has been fun. Thank you, one and all. And has Lori appeared? No. Okay. Well, that's too bad. I hope she's okay. The refreshments are over there, and thank you all for coming.
John, would you like to read Laura's poem?
Oh, yeah, somebody read Lori's poem.
Well, I will read, let's see, where is it? I've lost it. Which page is it?
That's the third one.
Okay.
Yeah, The Late Walk by Robert Frost.
I don't know this, so I don't know how to say it, but I'll try. A Late Walk by Robert Frost. When I go up through the mowing field, the headless aftermath, smooth laid like thatch with the heavy dew, half closes the garden path. And when I come to the garden ground, the whir of sober birds up from the tangle of withered weeds is sadder than any words. A tree beside the wall stands bare, but a leaf that lingered brown, disturbed, I doubt not, by my thought, comes softly rattling down. I end not far from my going forth by picking the faded blue of the last remaining aster flower to carry again to you. Thank you.
There's another one.
There's another one. I think we can sing this one, can't we?
We need a drum.
We need a drama. I don't know about that. The way to carry the sleigh through the white and drifted snow, over the river and through the wood, how the wind does blow. It stings the toes and bites the nose as over the ground we go. Over the river and through the woods to have a first rate play. Hear the bells ring, ting-a-ling-ding, hurrah for Thanksgiving Day. Over the river and through the wood, past my dappled gray. Spring over the ground like a hunting hound, for this is Christmas Thanksgiving Day. Over the river and through the wood, and straight through the barnyard gate. We seem to go extremely slow, it is so hard to wait. Over the river and through the wood, our grandmother's let's fly. Hurrah for the fun, is the pudding done? Hurrah for the pumpkin pie. Okay, very good. Look, that's pumpkin spelled with two P's and not just one P. All right, thank you, and yes, the wine is here, it's over yonder.
Over yonder.
Chonder, out Chonder, out Chonder.